All right. Welcome back to the Morning Drift. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. In case you are joining us, this is Lookuptv. We are online at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. There's just a lot that we have to talk about this morning, but remember, this week is a very important week. This is what the Budget Committee has already said. They were in Naivasha the entire of last week. All your deliberations, all your submissions on the finance bill, the places that they needed to change, they've said that indeed they're looking into it and they're going to do some sort of consideration on it before they table it. They didn't say exactly which ones they have considered, but we do know that some of those contentious clauses are on 16% VAT on petroleum products and also the 3% housing fund plus other many more as well. Now, which ones? We have to wait for them to table that document in the National House this Thursday. But then there's one side that is already feeling that they have been weakened. So before I introduce the gentleman who are going to join us this morning for this particular conversation, let's talk about a question that majority of the Azimio side in the National House have been asking, or should I say the minority side. This morning, we start with one question. What has Moses Wetangula done? So let's tell you what he's done. Let's look at this story, then come back and talk about it.
That was meant to debate on the finance bill began with destructive noises from members of parliament, especially those allied to the Azimio and Kenya coalition. The situation worsened when the Speaker Moses Wetangula stood to give communication to the members of parliament. Wetangula upholding the decision of Kiambu High Court ordering the Azimio coalition against replacing Member of Parliament Sabina Chege as the Deputy Minority Whip.
From the foregoing, my hands are therefore tied with regard to the court order that has been brought to my attention. Until and unless further information is provided that this order has been varied or set aside, the court order effectively suspends the decision by the minority party on the replacement of the Honourable Sabina Chege as the Deputy Minority Whip.
Wetangula's statement on the wrangles within the Azimio party left sore taste in the Azimio allied Member of Parliament who busted into screams and songs of discomfort.
As a seasoned legislator and experienced party leader myself, my heart sinks whenever I see a dispute that may be resolved through internal dispute resolution mechanisms being referred to in an adversarial court system. Order! Order!
Speaker Wetangula was forced to suspend the sitting for 15 minutes to allow the members to calm down.
Lower the mess and the House is suspended for 15 minutes.
However, in the second section, the drama continued, where Wetangula issued a suspension order to the 6 Azimio members of parliament.
In this regard, therefore, the following members will suffer the following fate. Millie Odhiambo, 2 weeks. Rosa Buyu, 2 weeks. Fatuma Muyanzi, 5 days. Catherine Omanyo, 5 days. Joyce Kamene, 2 sittings. TJ Kajwang, 2 weeks. Sabina Chege, 2 weeks.
The decision to replace Sabina Chege was reached after she shifted her allegiance to the Kenya Kwanza administration. Shedra Kareria, Lookuptv.
That's it. All right, let me introduce the 2 Erics in the building. There's Ragalo and Mungai. Done. The other names are Eric. Good. First question that somebody wanted me to ask you this morning. What criteria did the Speaker of the National Assembly use to award the suspensions that saw the likes of Millie Odhiambo, the likes of Sabina Chege, the likes of TJ Kajwang get 14 days? And the rest of them got 5 or 2
because the louder noise you make, you get suspended. Our viewers on Lookuptv, it's becoming a funny parliament, and this parliament is going to be one of the parliament that will have served wisely.
Yes.
When I was seated here last time, I told you, and I was telling our viewers, that we have liars, cheats, and forgotten the third name. And this is what I think of Wetangula still. Because Wetangula has a double speak. The same Wetangula has served in this parliament quite long. On 23rd September 2014, in parliament, Ekwe Ethuro was the speaker. Kajwang was still alive. Wetangula brought in a statement that courts cannot overrule parliament, and anything parliament does, they have under their jurisdiction, they cannot be controlled by the court. That means there was clear separation of powers. The same Wetangula, but the same Wetangula now has changed that a court process can stop a parliamentary process. I'm wondering, and I really need to go back to school to understand civic. And I tell you, civility is very important. So right now, I can't go to court and stop Wetangula from running his duties as speaker.
Yes.
And he should not until the case is heard. Because that's what a Kenyan would do. I remember there are times that courts required parliament to act in a certain way, and parliament reprimanded courts and told them, no, we are independent. And I remember, again, during that session, they said, Kajwang said, may his soul rest in peace, Mr. Mapambano, he said this, that if the courts are not tamed, then we'll have one arm of government that is the controller of other arms.
Yes.
And there was a clear fight between parliament and courts. What I'm trying to say is, when parliamentary duties are happening in their jurisdiction, they have a clear way of doing their things. Wetangula was removed from the same seat. Back then, who was the speaker? His governor was the speaker. He tried to make noise and said that it's going to be what? It is going to be I don't know what, and there will be very many casualties.
Yeah.
It will be messy.
It will be noisy. Be unhealthy, and there'll be a lot of casualties.
I didn't see messy. I didn't see casualty. He was actually removed in totality.
That's it.
Okay? So, and that time, court had a case not to remove Wetangula. But since it is a parliament and can do their thing without interference from external, they removed Wetangula, and Wetangula was actually replaced. The issue of not removing Sabina is now the executive issue,
yes,
not parliamentary, not even judiciary. It is executive issue. The executive would want Sabina to remain there. And that's why some people write on page that Eric is bitter. Eric is not bitter. Eric is just not stupid to see things happening, then I keep quiet. Mm-hmm. When I look, Sabina is already removed by a certain group of coalition, which is according to the rule of parliament. You can remove someone if you feel he's not doing your duty. Which duty is this? She's supposed to be their whip, minority whip. But she's now gone to bed with the majority. I'm not going to say government, because in parliament now there is no government. There is minority, majority.
Yes.
Who is whipping the minority side? None. So the minority is looking for someone to take care of their side, because their whip is gone, which is normal English, look for a person to replace. They have replaced. Wetangula waits for a court case in Kiambu with an injunction to come, and now he reads an injunction in parliament, as if Wetangula is not a lawyer. Actually, I think he's finished his thesis in PhD.
Yes.
I mean, for you to reach a level of PhD, surely, you stop thinking. You become emotional and jittery. So what I'm trying to put here is, Wetangula is playing politics. And he's a member of Kenya Kwanza. So they're playing politics. One of the way of playing politics is make sure the leader in parliament, there are two. Leader of majority, which is a leader of minority on this side.
Yes.
Whip this side, whip this side. From there are parliamentary sessions. Now we have committees. But now the most important are two. These are the people who run parliament. You understand?
Yes.
So if you weaken one side and remove their whip, so what have you done? So what is happening here? It is weakening the opposition side to make sure they can't operate. So any things you want to do, you will clear them. And I told you how I wish this finance bill passes, so that Kenyans will get common sense. I will be hurting with them, but I want them to get common sense, that the next time they are voting, they vote using their heads, not their emotions. Last time they voted hustler versus dynasty. Eric is a son of a dynasty. I can never put myself son of a hustler, though my father is still very poor. But I'm son of a dynasty because I believe in good things. So people who put their mind in hustling, now they can see what hustling means. And now Sabina goes and ties her hand. Bro, I'm a medic. When you fracture your hand, you cannot raise your hand like this in a car. You saw what she was putting. You actually hold it like this. She's in the car. Look at that picture. Mkono yake iko juu hivi. Na imevunjika. You know, that hand haikuvunjika. Whatever she's putting in her hand, like holding her hand, arm's rest, it's neither here or here. You have a armrest, but you're talking and doing this, your hand like this, and you're talking in the church. Unajua iPhone 14 ilienda, but you're doing this to your hand. Na imevunjika. I mean, try another movie, Sabina.
I think we will give her the right of response. Did you actually break your hand, Sabina Chege, if you might run across this particular clip? Because doctors are saying, you don't think so.
You break your hand and you still do like this.
Eric, Mr. Mungai, let me bring you in. And I'm going to ask you the same question that we started with Ragalo as well. What was the criteria that was used to award those punishments? Because now, majority, and you will say among the strongest debaters in Parliament, one Millie Odhiambo, one TJ Kajwang, Sabina Chege as well, they will miss a very important event in the National House this week, which is happening this Thursday, that is debating on the Finance Bill 2023. In fact, you and I looked at the numbers here last week. It looks as if the minority side is more disadvantaged now than it was even before tabling this particular bill. Let's start with that.
First is to say good morning to our viewers. It's always a pleasure to have you interact and engage with us. And Simba, it's important, I was sent greetings by the people of Kiambu. They tune in to Lookuptv. You know, in Kiambu they call me Muturi Wanduthi. That's it. So they sent their greetings, and it's always good to interact with them. No, the governor is an addition. They know me. The governor is what comes after Mary and after other things. Now back to your question, yes. Simba.
Yes.
Eric has raised a very, has reminded me of when Wetangula was being removed or ejected as the minority leader.
Yes, yes.
And when he was professing that it would be messy and there would be casualties. And it reminded me of a story sometimes we hear of the hare and the chameleon.
Yes.
And both of them wanted to engage in a race. And the hare was boasting all over that they were the fastest. And the chameleon, of course, was deemed to be the slowest. And when they began the race, the chameleon stuck on the hare's tail. And so when they got to the finish line and the hare wanted to sit, because the chameleon was on the tail, the chameleon said, hey.
Don't sit on me, man.
Do not sit on me, I was here first. And that tells you how tables can turn very quickly. One day you are on top removing people, and the second day you are the one crying crying, oh, there is a court order here, there is a court order there. But Wetangula has emerged at the top. I do not know the criteria used to meet punishment, but I think it was the level of decibels. The higher the decibels, the longer your tenure in terms of being kicked out.
Well, Sabina Chai was given 14 days. Is that
No, you know.
She looked like the victim.
I think it was a combination of decibel and physical, physical manifestation.
Well, she said she was beaten.
No, but you cannot just be beaten. There's sometimes,
Yeah.
by the time your hand is broken,
Yeah.
you've also thrown a punch or two. So I think
overall, she looked like the victim. She even lost property to the point that told the speaker, I lost my phone.
In fact,
please help me find it.
In fact, why not for the fact that Parliament has privilege?
Yeah.
I think that was robbery with violence on the. I think it was robbery with violence on the side of Azimio, and I think it's bad manners to transport, to confer goonship. You come from Mandamano and you transfer the same goonship to a very esteemed house like Parliament.
How does it look like a member of Parliament is lost her phone in Parliament?
Not lost, stolen, allegedly stolen by members who will not mention here. I think it's bad manners.
Yes.
I want to tell you,
Yes.
no way
Yes.
someone can lose anything in the chamber.
Would you say so?
It is not possible. It is not possible.
But what's the bill? You think I lost my phone? Please help me find it.
And you cannot lose an iPhone 14. You cannot. The iPhones that I know.
Yeah.
You cannot lose it, but yes. You can. Okay. Losing is okay. Okay, I understand what he means.
Yeah.
Of course, it is stolen,
Yeah,
which means
yeah.
you don't have it, which means you lost it.
Yeah.
iPhone 14 cannot go. This is what you call political gimmicks. There is no way you can lose iPhone 14.
If a member of Parliament.
Even right now, you have an iPhone 14.
Yes.
Go into a matatu. Then nobody marks you. You just leave it on the seat, and then someone picks it. You will still get it.
Still trust, isn't it?
You still get it.
Yeah.
Where will you take it?
Is the
iPhones cannot be stolen.
It's the biggest.
So when someone tells you ati I lost iPhone 14, ndio nikwambia watu walienda shule. Don't lie to people you can lose iPhone 14. How now? To where? And then you lost it in Parliament.
Is the biggest news going to be the Speaker of the National Assembly coming in and saying, well, we've traced it to so and so's house?
So meaning, Sabina is literally telling international world that our Kenyans, we are thieves.
Yes.
That we even steal in Parliament.
No, it has a huge implication on Azimio regarding the international front, on their capacity to conduct some business in the house.
Which is what we're getting to now, Mr. Mungai. The first question, you've dealt with it. We've seen the level of decibels. And if you broke your hand, the speaker was like, how did you break it?
You break your hand, you're still doing like this.
Trying to throw a jab and then you hurt your hand. So you also go with them for 2 weeks. Doesn't matter whether you're a victim or not. So now what? Because you've seen what other members of Parliament are saying is like this a ploy to weaken us as we're looking forward to debate on the finance bill. Is that it?
So what I foresee, and this is not new, at least in Kenya's National Assembly.
Yes.
What we are going to have is a replica of what we had with the BBI bill, what we had with the security bill some time back. We are basically going into, so to speak, a very divided house.
Yes.
There will be, the way business will be conducted from now moving forward, there will be a bit of acrimony, there will be a lot of tussle, there will be a lot of heckling. Sometimes it may escalate to physical fights. So we are headed to days of drama. Mm-hmm. We are headed to days of acting, of fighting. So I think moving forward, this is not an easy.
Yes.
It's not an easy affair.
Yes.
And of course, it's a game of attrition. You can see already members of Azimio are being cut to size.
Yes.
Some of their members, because what we have lost in Kenya Kwanza, I think it's only Sabina, though she is legally, she's in Azimio. Is she? Legally, I think she's in Azimio, but heart-wise,
yes,
she's in Kenya Kwanza. I think we're headed for very interesting times. I look forward to those times in the National Assembly. And I can tell you, it's time to be glued to our TV sets. And this country is full of wonders. We move from one area of theatrics to another area of theatrics.
Yes.
But I also think, as we've seen in the what do we call it, this committee that is in Naivasha.
That is a budget committee.
The budget committee in Naivasha. We have also seen they have come up with a raft of proposals, which we wait to see what will be presented to Parliament. And I can say an olive branch has been extended. We will see whether Azimio are acceptable to whatever it is that will be presented to the floor of the House.
Yes.
But we look forward to an interesting time. Baba has already put out some remarks that should the bill pass, they are back to the streets on maandamano. Interesting times ahead. Interesting times ahead.
Guess what? I just want to take a tiny breather right here on the Morning Drift, because now once we come back then, Eric and Eric are going essentially to weigh in on this move by Wetangula. What does the law say? That you're going to run government business on a very important week for the country. What if the Azimio side say, well, we are not represented, so we do not want to participate in any house business in the country? Was it a miss by Wetangula? And if it was not, then how are they going to go into this business? Once we come back right here on the Morning Drift.
KM Lookup Media, the holding company for Muthingi and Lookuptv, proudly presents the Mount Kenya Region Roadshow. It's time to mark your calendars, because from June 26 to July 1st, 2023, we are bringing the excitement to Kiambu, Murang'a, Kirinyaga, Embu, Meru, Laikipia, Nyeri, Nyandarua, and Nakuru counties. Are you ready to be a part of an electrifying TV roadshow? Join us as we embark on a thrilling journey through the magnificent Mount Kenya region. Lookuptv and Muthingi TV are hitting the road. We are coming straight to your towns. But that's not all. We are not just bringing you TV. We are bringing you an unforgettable experience. Enjoy your favorite comedians like Njoro wa Ukulima ni Mali, Marafiki, among others, live performances, and get a chance to meet your favorite TV personalities right in your own town. To our sponsors and partners, book your slot for the greatest brand experience and conversions. To book this fast-moving opportunity, call 0110-430-158 or email sales@lookuptv.co.ke. Get ready to be swept off your feet as we bring the magic of television to your doorstep. Let the TV adventure begin.
So the story we're telling today is a story of passion in practice that grows into business.
We have partnered with the Youth Fund, talk to as many youth as possible and work with them, hold their hand.
It is an expose of captains who have decided to take on challenges in different sectors and industries within the country.
My mentors had also not started as CEOs. They grew up and they showed me how they grew in the organizations. So that's what motivated me to actually do international business. And it was a good experience.
As an individual, support in bridging that care gap, part of me also to offer a solution. I want to leave this world a better place than I found it.
This is the Captain's Arena. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. All right, we are online at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiage Simba. The hashtag is the morning drift for all those who are watching. Thank you very much. We're here all the way up to 9:30 this morning, so let's weigh in on exactly what the plot for the Azimio coalition is going to be then once they get back to National House business. Let me ask you, Bragala, was it a miscalculation from Moses Wetangula? Because has introduced more chaos than finding a solution for the issue that the minority side wanted to get solved.
No, it's not a miss.
Yes.
Wetangula is doing his job right. And only that Wetangula is not wise.
Which would make it a miss.
He's not missing.
Yes.
He's doing his job the way it's supposed to.
What if the minority side said, well, we're not going to get into any house business?
What I wish to request my group in Azimio.
Yes.
On Thursday, when the debate and discussion of the bill to voting will happen.
Yes.
Don't go to Parliament. Let them do it. Don't be part of this. There are many times that the opposition left Parliament for the majority or the other guys who feel they are better off to do their business. One, it is a systemic way of ensuring the best debaters are out of Parliament. One. Two, your whip is out of Parliament, who already was bought off. The speaker, who is supposed to bring balance in Parliament, cannot even think and remember what he said when he was a parliamentarian on 23rd of September 2014.
Yes.
He's refused to remember and he refused to think, and he's a professor in law right now. So what do? Leave the finance bill to pass with your absentia. When it passes, tell Kenyans, you wanted this? You have it. That's what I keep saying. So some people say I am bitter, but that is the truth. What do? I will not be part of that bill.
The fight.
You leave it to pass, because Kenyans are seeing, they have decided to make sure you even weaker more. So what do? If someone pushes you so much, leave him. So when this thing passes, now whatever tunasema Kenya itazaa, utanyonyesha.
Yes.
Na wakikuwa nasema kirekereshi yaro netokogithia.
Yes.
Kenya kitazaa, tutanyonyesha.
So
whatever itazaliwa hapo with your absentia,
yes,
utanyonyesha.
The fight should be up to the last minute.
No.
Regala, you like to think.
No. You should not fight to the last minute. There is time you withdraw. And withdrawal is not weakness. Withdraw is a strategy of war. When you read Sun Tzu,
Yes.
the book, The Art of War.
Do you think that that's what probably Raila Amolo Odinga told the Azimio coalition members of parliament, that this is the only way out?
I've not heard that. And I've not heard that, but
He
this is
said they
Eric.
wanna- he
This
said-
is Eric
Yes, he
saying.
said they were going to communicate a plan.
Eric is saying.
Yes.
This is Eric saying, my own mind. Don't attend that parliament. In fact, go outside parliament and stage a protest outside. Simama tu hapo nje with placards, don't talk. Let them finish. Kunja placard yako, eka kwa hiyo limo yako, V8, Prado, Vitz, move, go home.
Yes.
Don't enter that parliament. So
Do you
don't
think-
even
do you think
vote.
That, yeah. Do you think that would really make sense at a time when we're getting told that
Yes,
there's
it will-
still undecided members of parliament on this
it
particular
will
bill?
make sense to Kenyans. All this boils down to Kenyans. You created this government. You created this finance bill, Kenyans. It is your bill to take care of. It is Kenyans' bill. So Kenyans should just take in whatever will come out of this bill. And I hear they are going to remove the housing. Actually, that's what is happening in Naivasha.
Yes.
They want to remove the housing thing, which I told you when I was seated here, they will remove housing.
As we wait for them to tell us exactly what they have.
No,
removed.
they are going to
Is that-
remove. I'm telling you, Ali. Bro, housing
Yes.
was a debate to transfer your mind off the real issues. The housing was not the issue. And I said here on set, housing was never the issue.
Yes.
It is going to be remodified, and it is going to be it will look nicer to say at least wametoa housing, sasa tunaweza pitisha hii kitu. Then unajinyonga huku na unawapatia helicopter wanaleta bure without VAT and all the other things. But housing they were going to remove. They were going to, and I told you, hii kitu inapigiwa kelele, hii kitu inaenda kuchenchiwa. Ni yenu tu ya kupiga manoise, lakini something else will cook. And it's happening. Housing is going to be changed, and it is going to be like Uhuru way.
As we wait for.
So
them
these
to
guys
tell
told us
Yes.
wanazima reggae. Hawazimi reggae. In fact, wao ndio wanacheza reggae.
Yes.
They're the people playing reggae. Everything Uhuru, they were saying against Uhuru, they are doing them line to line.
Yes.
Even the issues of BBI, the ones they were refusing, they are following them line to line. So did Ruto zima reggae ama Ruto kwanza sasa ndi ako juu ya reggae mbaya? The question is, who is playing reggae? In fact, Raila has stopped reggae.
Yes.
Ruto is the one playing reggae now. And that reggae Ruto is playing, he's even playing it harder for Kenyans because now he's fixing them in this reggae thing.
Magala, I just want to hold your thought on that, by the way. Mungai, that's what I want you to jump
Mungai
in.
reggae inaendelea?
Yes. That's what I want to jump in.
DJ Yakoliv.
Yes. And it's actually mentioned a very important point that I want us, if you look at the Nation headline today, and that's where we're going to pick this from, because some of the issues that we're talking about with even Mr. Ragallo this morning reminding us that the same man who's actually threatening of proper action in Parliament was actually removed from Parliament some time back. They're saying that if you look at exactly what Ruto is doing right now, there is completely no difference with what President Uhuru Kenyatta used to do. Using numbers to bulldoze his way in government, a total disregard to exactly what happens within the law quarters. And we're sort of seeing the same script. They're saying that these are men who are reading from the same script. Mr. Mungai, let's start from there then. Just from that particular headline, as you respond to, is this a ploy to weaken the Azimio side as they get into the most important debate this week? And if so, was it a miss for Moses Wetangula? Because then he's giving reason to the minority side to say, well, we are not represented. Where is our whip to guide us on this particular debate? Was it not a miss? That's the same question that I was asking Ragallo. Ragallo said, well, it was not a miss. It was just a calculated move. Yes.
Well, Simba, it is not a ploy from the government. The government really is not interested in the Azimio in terms of, it's not like we lack debaters. In fact, the people, there is a very big difference between heckling and debating. the people who are removed from the house,
Yes.
especially on the Azimio side,
Yes.
are hecklers. Millie Odhiambo is a heckler, is not a debater. So
Sabina Chege?
no, Sabina Chege is a casualty. But this one, you
TJ
know,
Kajwang?
at least TJ Kajwang has a brain and is able to debate properly. But most of those other members are hecklers. So we have no, I mean, you don't go after a certain caliber of people who really add no value at the end of the day to your team.
Their constituents do not really call them hecklers, because probably that's why they put them inside parliament.
In fact,
yes,
yes, you see, people vote people in for different reasons.
Yes.
And one of them is the party. Okay?
Yes.
If you're in the right party, we have very good legislators who did not make it to parliament based on the fact that they were using the wrong vehicle to go into parliament. So the fact that you're in parliament, as actually Sifuna said the other day, does not necessarily confer wisdom on your part. You could be in parliament because you're in good books with the boss,
yes,
and because you're on the right, you use the right vehicle to get into parliament. But does it stop you from being a heckler? Absolutely not. If you are a heckler before going into parliament, when you go to parliament, you still carry the bad behavior with you to parliament.
But
that
also doesn't stop you then from representing your constituents as you were expected to do, isn't it?
It doesn't. And
yes,
that's why, in fact, I'm surprised
yes,
that my colleague here would ask their members to boycott. You know, in my mother tongue, we say cowards die many times before they die. And we also say the coward went home to their mother alive. That's direct
yes,
translation.
yes.
You see, sometimes you have to show up because your constituents voted for you to go and represent them in the August House. Now, when you're given advice to boycott and to run away from the responsibility through which you earn a salary, the responsibility which your constituents and Kenyans in general, because when they tax me and they pay you, it is still Kenyans in general, they pay you to do that job. When you boycott that specific job that we have given you, it's a disservice to the country.
Yes.
So I think that's a very bad strategy. It's
yes,
a cowardly strategy.
What would be a good strategy from a side that wants to win a debate where everything is against them? You would say, because
have your say.
There's no side.
That's democracy.
Yes.
Why are we running away from democracy? Have your say.
Even when the orders, yes.
No,
yes,
have your say in the August House.
Yes.
Raise salient points,
yes,
which you disagree with or which you agree with in the August House. Let us listen to you.
Pretty much.
Let us listen to you. So that in future,
yes,
remember, Parliament, yes, is a house of record. Parliament is a house of record.
Okay.
So in future, when we go through the Hansard, we can say, actually we were wrong, you're right. But when you run away from the house,
yes,
then you deny us the opportunity of hindsight in future.
Pretty much. Mr. Mungai, this is a question that I want you to also respond to then. Would it be okay for the Azimio side to feel, well, the minority side to feel, we do not have our voice here, where is our whip to direct our grievances when we do know how debates go? They get more time. They get to actually voice majority of their concerns in parliament. Would it be okay then for them to say, we're not going to participate because the structures within parliament have been abused? We're getting into a debate where our whip, as we do know of it, has been kicked out of parliament, or the one that we want is not essentially in place.
You know, Simba, there's a distinction between responsibility and feeling. I do not feel sometimes like going to work. Do I go to work? I go to work.
Yes.
Sometimes I do not feel, you know, in terms of feeling, you could feel anything under the sun.
Yes.
I mean, it's not every day that you feel like coming to work as much as you love your work. But responsibility demands that you have a job to do and you must get it done. So regardless of what Azimio are feeling, they have a responsibility and honors to develop this country.
Pretty much.
And that responsibility must be exercised on the floor of the house.
Within the structures that have been put in place in parliament, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But they don't have a whip.
What do you mean they don't have a whip?
They do not have a whip.
They do.
She's not in the house.
You see, the work of a whip,
yes,
the work of a whip is to I don't want to use the word
mobilize.
members.
Mobilize.
Is to mobilize members. Is to mobilize members
to vote in a certain way.
To vote in a certain direction or take a particular view.
Position.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. That is the work of a whip.
Yes.
So now I know you want me to come. I know you want.
No, you're bringing it nicely.
I know you're headed towards Sabina Chege.
Yes.
But the fact that they do not have an official whip, the fact that they do not allegedly have an official whip, does not mean they are not able to marshal their members to vote in a particular direction. Because remember, they have a party leader. No, they have a party leader.
Who is outside the parliament?
No, look at it this way. Look at this way.
Okay.
Every once in a while,
every
once in a while, Kenya Kwanza has a parliamentary caucus or a PG in State House, where the party leader calls them and tells them we are going to move in this direction. Okay?
Yes.
And more often than not, they move in that direction, except maybe for the last one where they did not want this East Africa MP, the young man. You remember the young
who they later voted.
Yes, who they later voted. Yes. That is the only time there has been a discrepancy between what the PG agreed and what was represented in the House. Okay.
Yes.
What I am saying is, as the dispute is being solved, because this is a dispute, it's a dispute that is in place, okay? And there are legal mechanisms of sorting out this dispute. But Azimio cannot say, because there is a dispute in place, then we cannot exercise our responsibility on the floor of the House. Yes. I mean, that is abdication.
Brother Simba, 1 second. Brother, there will be a PG meeting, I agree. I'm saying that I'm not saying there is gonna be. I'm saying there will be a PG meeting where the party leader calls people, that is MPs, and tells them this is how we are going to vote. But the party leader does not go with you in parliament.
Yeah, so that's correct.
There is no party leader that goes to parliament.
Yes.
Even now, there's not even one that is in parliament.
Yes.
So who takes care of the party leader in parliament? The whip. The whip takes the job to now de-whip people whip people towards a certain way. We Eriko, kumbuka, Mdosi alisema hivi. We, bro, Mdosi kwanza wewe ndio unatusumbua sana. Tutakuangalia. You know, that is the work of the whip. To ensure what the party leader said or what the party position is followed into parliament. You understand? What he's trying to say that their party leader said this and they voted the other way is because in their house there was division between Gachagua and Ruto. Gachagua wanted Mount Kenya to vote in a certain way, while Ruto wanted the whole house, which is their own people, to vote in a certain way.
Yes.
So Mount Kenya pulled a rug on the others, and that is the honesty and the truth. There were meetings at night, innuendos and manipulations that I say, and during the morning they had a whole discussion on different lists, and that is the list that passed. So hapo kulikuwa na vita watu wawili, but in the real sense that's not what happens. In the real sense, the whip takes care of everything. So now that we don't have a whip, why am I saying this? Because our party has already disowned her, which is Azimio, not Jubilee. I'm saying our party, Azimio, has already disowned her. She cannot whip anything on our side. So who is going to stand in as a whip? Mwenje was supposed to be an official whip on our side, to tell our people, hey, wase, tunaenda hivi. But now Mwenje cannot also whip because he's not officially announced as a whip in parliament. So who is going to whip people in parliament? No one. So why do you even attend that parliament when you don't have direction? It is, you know, you are going to walk into parliament headless. Munatembea hivi, wengine wanaenda huku, wengine wanaenda huku. They'll vote either way because they cannot be managed on a right way. And that is why I'm saying these people are taking advantage so that we can have disorganization. Other than going to have this disorganization in floor, then the next day you'll read on the paper, 100 MPs left Raila. Because papers know how to use Raila's name to sell. Azimio knocked down 50 MPs move to KK. You know, that is a paper writing. It will be another storm in a cup. Other than doing that, why even attend that parliament?
Yes.
I'm talking as a member of Azimio, not just a member, a heart member of ODM. Don't go to parliament.
I'll be coming back to you
on Thursday.
Because there's another caveat in not going to parliament. Mr. Munga, just as we're clear on this particular issue for lacking a whip, all right, from the minority side, here's what we know. And we're going to run this second story on that particular budget committee, by the way, that has already said they've taken the views in of a majority of Kenyans, and they have not essentially revealed what specific considerations they've taken into that document. So we're waiting to see exactly what they have taken into account come this Thursday, which therefore would beg the question, if indeed even the minority side do not know exactly what that particular document has, would it be okay to have a leader on that particular day, once that final document is presented, and saying, well, we feel we should vote towards this side because indeed now this document has maybe taken into account A, B, C, D.
Yes.
Because it works both ways.
Yes.
They might have listened to everything, and if they don't have anybody to point them in a particular direction, there will be a lost vote for either side. Let's take a look at that story, then come back to Mr. Mungai and say, well, if indeed we do not know exactly what is written in that document, wouldn't it be okay to have the voice of reason, the voice of point, the point of connection in that particular house when we vote on Thursday? Let's take a look.
Up before the tabling of the report in Parliament this coming week, the Finance Committee in the National Assembly is confident that the bill will be accepted in Parliament. In the last couple of weeks, the issue of the 3% housing levy and 16% VAT on petroleum products has dominated talks, with the opposition calling for the bill to be withdrawn. But addressing the press in Naivasha, Chair of the committee, Kimani Kuria, exuded confidence that the bill will be accepted by Parliament come Tuesday, when it will be tabled. He said that they have looked into all the recommendations handed over to them and included them in the 137-page document.
Come to an agreement as members of the Committee on Finance and National Planning, and you're going to table our report on Tuesday, following which now on Wednesday we're going to start a debate on it. It's going to go to the Committee of the whole House, and then thereafter go to the third reading. So I'm happy to report that we are in agreement as a Committee of Finance and National Planning on the matters that we have deliberated upon on end, and we really appreciate all the feedback that we've got from the public, from the stakeholders. It has been quite a very, very engaging.
The MP was, however, coy on the issue of the housing levy and the VAT on fuel products, noting that this will be made public once the document was tabled in the House.
We are going to make amendments to several clauses. We have also tied ends because there's some clauses, for example, that the definition could be prone to abuse. So there are some that's been tightening on, for example, the definition to make sure again that our tax policy becomes simple. The report. So the report that we do has to balance the financial implications. So where we disagree, where we are making an amendment, if it's for example, because we have the matrices for the financial implication, we must make sure that we actually get somewhere else to raise those revenues. Because if you make an amendment that has a huge financial implication, you must find a way of recouping that financial implication so that you're able now to fund a budget. Otherwise, you're going to get to a crisis where we have approved.
He revisited the issue of borrowing, noting that currently the country was financially crippled due to the burden of debt that was affecting development projects. The MP said that the committee had made recommendations that will see borrowing reduced so that the country will sustain itself.
With the amendment, Kenyans stand at risk of missing out on understanding on this bill by reducing it to just a one-clause item. It's a 137-page document, and every clause there has an implication.
The Molo MP lashed out at those who were demonizing the whole report based on two issues, adding that the bill had many positive things, but the debate had taken a political angle.
Unfortunately, the debate about the bill has taken a political twist, and it's really sad when I hear members of parliament saying that you have to withdraw the entire bill, members of the public saying, members of parliament saying that you're going to go on streets. You know, our colleagues from opposition and even some from our coalition should know that they can actually write to the speaker and make amendments. And this is...
Okay, that's it. And you could hear exactly what it is, a 137-page document, and some of the most contentious issues have not been revealed yet. They were coy in telling us the direction they've taken on the 16% VAT and the 3% housing fund. That's 16% VAT on petroleum products. Which is why, Mr. Mugai, we're asking you then, at that particular point, when you essentially need direction to a document that you're not so clear on what the amendments are, that the parties that are within your coalition have to have a direction, even when you're going for a break within the debate. Because what do we expect? It's going to take an entire day of debate. The concluence has to come from the whip, who's not there now.
Okay, so two things. One,
Yes.
there is a parliamentary process of how a bill turns into becoming law. Okay? And then there is a political process within which that bill is voted for or against. Okay? Let me speak to the legislative process in terms of the parliamentary process.
Yes.
So the team that is in Naivasha, they are putting in on factoring in proposals emanating from public participation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is from members of the public, and even from Azimio side, and from special interest groups like KEPSA, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and the like. Now, once they do that, they are going to bring this bill into Parliament, the National Assembly. Once it comes to the National Assembly, this is for the second reading. Now, from the second reading, they are going to vote either to proceed or to drop the bill altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the assuming, and this is highly likely that it passes, they now go into the committee, and this mostly it is a committee of the full house. And this is where now they vote clause by clause by clause, okay? And this is where further amendments can be done. Now, so that is the parliamentary process. So to bring in your question now of the whip is now the political process within which you mobilize your party to come and vote for or against particular clauses in the bill. Now, what you're saying is that since Sabina Chege is not feeling well,
all right, just continue.
and you know the human body is fallible to, you know, to diseases and such, etc., etc., and fractures, and you know, especially when you're a lady and you're subjected to some level of stress, then it doesn't, physical stress, it doesn't always augur well. Now, because Sabina is not there, the political process, the Azimio team must find a strategy.
Yes.
They must find a strategy, because as it is, there is a dispute, and we cannot deny there is a dispute.
Yes.
But be it as that may be, the Azimio side must come up with a strategy to whip their members to vote for or against particular clauses of the bill, because it's not all clauses that are controversial. It's not all clauses that are not acceptable to the Kenyan people. It is only a few which attract the public limelight, which are controversial, and which Azimio might take a hard stance against. But there are clauses which are agreeable to even the Azimio team. You know, you look at some some clauses like bringing down
let me hold your thought right there. You're going to come back from this break here so that we clear that particular sentiment. Director forgot to take us on break. Let's take a tiny breather right now. Once we come back, by the way, Mr. Mungai is going to just clear on that particular one on why the whip essentially is not important. His sentiment is that now, because they know they have a deficit in that particular position, they have to sort of find a way for Thursday so they can actually then vote as a party. But then there is the bigger elephant in the room. The party leader, as Raila Amolo Odinga is saying, it is back to the streets. Should those levies pass, should that particular finance bill pass, then we're going to go to the street. So already they've been told exactly what to do. Is that what they are going to do? Once we come back right here on the Morning Drift Online and Lookuptv across all your social media platforms.
How do women do it? Will the real superheroes please stand up? Welcome to the best show on all things women. You can. Now we have to tell you, on our show, we're not just talk. We're mothers, wives, working women, your hosts, and the list goes on. We also know how to relax and have some fun. It's living the life. Yes, it is.
In a world where every voice matters, where women and children need our unwavering support, Muthingi TV's Muthoni Nyarari stands out, and it's for this reason that she has been nominated for the AfriGlow Women Choice Awards 2023 as the presenter of the year. Your voice matters. Your support counts. To vote for Muthoni Nyarari, dial *483 *733 *55 1212 hash. Together, let's amplify our voices and bring attention to the issues that matters the most.
Are you a junior secondary school, a college, a TVET institution or a university and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today on 011 0430 158, 011 0430 158 or email us on sales@lookuptv.co.ke.
Mr. Mungai, let's, even as you complete your sentiments on exactly what is now right in front of the Azimio coalition, on exactly what they have to do, because Thursday, by the way, is just 2 days away from now, and their whip is already out for 14 days. She's not feeling okay. She's looking for property. And the whip that they wanted to be instated by the House Speaker has not been instated yet. So even as you complete those sentiments then, Raila Amolo Odinga is saying, well, we're going to give our party members the strategy that they're going to use to make sure that that particular bill doesn't go through. Let's look forward to Thursday. What if the Azimio side, the minority side, essentially is going to keep on asking the Speaker to give directions on how he wants this debate to go, this voting process to go, and delay the entire process? Could that be another strategy? That we do not have a minority whip in the House. We do not feel that the situations that are supposed to be met legally then for us to conduct business in a house as a party are met. So please give clarity. Do you think that would introduce a debate to the point that, well, when do we expect that it's going to be voted on, then it will not?
Well, in essence, Simba, that would be more or less like filibustering at the floor of the House.
Yes.
It's, you know, the House has an order paper of how they conduct business and the particular business of the day. Now, if Azimio members decide to derail the process, they initially, at the face value, they could do it. But remember, the House is a house of rules, okay? And because it is a house of rules, it is why you saw the members being excommunicated or expelled for a number of days from the House because of certain conduct that is unbecoming and that is against the standing orders of the House. So there could be an attempt, and the best they can do is an attempt to do that. That's one. Secondly, you know, sometimes we look at our parliament in isolation, and I like how Eric says that Kenya is not an island, and that the international front is looking at our house to see how we conduct our business. Yes. Granted, yes. And that's fair. But you must also look at how other parliaments behave outside here. One is the UK parliament, okay? If you look at it, they have PM questions, which sometimes can degenerate into heckling. Same thing you see here in Kenya. And you see, for them, it is a parliament that has existed for ages. If you cross over the other side of the ocean and go to the US, you remember the other day, there was a bit of tussle with regard to removing the debt ceiling. And you remember, they took weeks and weeks on end. The Democrats and the Republicans were unable to agree on raising the debt ceiling. And the president had to deploy a lot of lobbying skills for him to have his way. And there was a stalemate. You remember even when they were voting the speaker during this new season for Joe Biden, there was a lot of acrimony in the House, and it dragged and dragged and dragged. So in terms of precedence, really, in terms of how our parliament behaves, and that is why the English language confers a very interesting name to a group of parliamentarians, if you know what I mean. You know, like you say, a bevy of flowers. Even parliamentarians have a very interesting name because their character all over the globe befits of that character, the one that the English language confers upon them. So it is not a new, and for purpose of clarity to the viewer, you know, it's called a baboon. It's a baboon of. And so this is not just peculiar to this side of the world. Even other parts of the world have this kind of behavior. So yes, there could be an attempt to filibuster, but that is neither here nor there.
Which means that even when Wetangula was making that decision, he knew very well what he was looking forward to come Thursday, isn't it?
Of course, that is why every government that comes into power, their first goal is to consolidate numbers, is to have a lead on the speaker. The speaker is supposed to be neutral, but remember, the speaker is also voted on the floor of the House by a majority. So in essence, when you get government, your first goal, and this issue of numbers, it always keeps coming up. You remember when they were ejecting, when they were dealing with the majority leader, Adam Duale, in the previous regime. William and his team had said they had the numbers. And Azimio told them, my friends, come to the floor of the House. Let us see who has the numbers. So the issue of numbers will always keep on coming.
Pretty much, which is what we're going to talk about next, Regalo. Is at that point, he's picked it nicely, that indeed, the speaker essentially is supposed to be a neutral person in the National House. Well, you're not supposed to belong to a party, you're supposed to announce your party affiliation and all that. So when you conduct House business, you come in as a clean person. But we do know that Moses Wetangula did run for an elected position, and he won it on a party ticket. We do know exactly where the affiliation for Moses Wetangula is. In fact, we will ask you today, you can look at us Mangai and say, well, I can't tell you because a neutral person. It doesn't just come in as a neutral person to that particular seat, because every time the minority side looks at the decisions that Moses Wetangula makes, they would always refer to him to where his political affiliation is.
No, but you are forgetting they fronted Kalonzo. Azimio fronted Kalonzo. It would have been a similar thing.
Regardless, but they didn't get it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's the situation that we're dealing.
Numbers.
Yeah, because that's the situation that we're dealing with right now. The minority side have said, "Well, we're going to impeach him." Mr. Bagala, I want to sound as politically correct as I can. When you look at Moses Wetangula,
is he impeachable?
That's not the question first.
Okay.
The question is, do you see him as a neutral person in that seat?
When I started understanding politics, I started with Kaparo.
Yes.
And from Kaparo, I've seen a few speakers come in, and we had another constitution that came in 2010 that gave us 2 speakers at the same time, yes. Senate and the National House.
Yes.
So from there, if you want to know the best speakers, you will see what the Kenya country talks about. You can only talk of 2 speakers. You can only talk of Kaparo, and from Kaparo, you can talk of who? Marende.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't we talking of the others? Because they were not wise enough. Kaparo was there when Kenya was at turmoil. When Kenya really, if Kaparo was taking sides, that was the time sides was the best. Because for you to be on opposition was like hanging your head. Kaparo balanced parliament with the difficulties that were there. And that's why even today, Kaparo is revered. People call him for meetings. He goes to international meetings and even give talks. You saw Marende coming in 2007, when we needed the wise one. And surely, they even call him the wise one. Mm-hmm. When there was time to give a judgment, the most serious judgment, Kaparo stood in the middle and actually directed the leaders to sit down and talk. When wise was needed, Kaparo was the wise one. From there, we've not had speakers. We've had stooges working for other people. And for you to tell me that, for you to ask this question and say that Wetangula left the party, of course he did. He's not a member of Ford Kenya now. Of course he's not. But that one is in limbo. That one is just thought about. But he has a party, Ford Kenya, that is it. He ran through Ford Kenya, and he's the guy who took Ford Kenya to KK and signed the documents. So he is a politician. What is there for him after these 5 years? Does he want to run for presidency? Does he want to be a governor Bungoma? Those are the only 2 things remaining. Sure. Those are the only 2 things remaining. If he goes for governorship Bungoma, he would have gone lower. So he would want to run a president, that is the best bet for him. Or a deputy president, for that sake. So he has to cut others down. He has the opportunity to make sure others get finished. Being the 3rd most important politician, you know he can be a president. If we don't have the president and we don't have the deputy, who becomes the president?
It is the speaker.
Speaker. Mm-hmm. So he's the 3rd president in waiting. That's how close he is.
2 heartbeats away.
2 heartbeats away. 1 heartbeat is there, the 2nd heartbeat is kicking, he's the 3rd heartbeat away. So he cannot go lower. He either can be a deputy, which is higher to him, or the president, which is equally higher to him. If he goes down to if he goes to governor, he would have played let's wait and see game. So he has to cut others down to make sure they look that small, or he makes sure they don't work in totality, or he extinguishes them. 48 years law of power law number 6. Don't leave even a smolder. Extinguish your enemy in totality. A smolder can become a fire. That's what he's doing. Now I'm playing politics. I'm talking politics. So Wetangula is actually helping Ruto and Gachagua to play the 48 laws of power, to play the art of war by Sun Aizu, to play The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. These are books people should read. If you read these books, you will see power. You will understand power. So this is the game happening, to make sure you render them so weak. You make sure even some of the parliamentarians who are on the other side will get disillusioned and move to this side, even without buying them. Watajikuta tu wamefika pande hii, wanavote na nyinyi. That's what is happening. So Wetangula is playing the game. So Wetangula is, I told you, he's not doing a mistake. He's playing the game. But they got a weaker minority whip, who moved the first day when she was beckoned, hey, so come. And she was like, hey, hata nilikuwa nangoja muniite. You understand? She was there running. They got a weaker minority whip.
Yes.
This minority whip should have waited to push this thing to the core.
Yes.
That her move would have been so important. This one is even working better for parliament of the other side. It has given them an opening that this is happening. So they will reorganize their regions also and close them against infiltration. I'm telling you, don't think they are not seeing. Now I'm talking politics. So what is happening here, it's not even finance bill. It is politics happening. If we go to finance bill, I told you the housing will be removed. But now there are 17 others that affect people directly. If you go to Ruiru, where I'm based, companies have started laying out people. This guy is a governor of Kiambu. I call him governor because, I mean, he's the governor to be. Tomorrow, he'll be the one. And the Kiambu people are the people he came to ask for votes, even in Ruiru. So, when I talk, I'm even telling him that their companies have started to lay people. I'm not going to call them names because the government may come running on them, but they are there. On Friday, there's a company, on Friday, on Friday, there's a company who laid around 3,000 people, one of the biggest employers in Ruiru. They are the ones that have been told, tunangoje kitu ikipita hivi, kuna watu tunachuja. What have they done? Now they're employing casuals. Casual can be employed after 2 months, you renewed contract. 2 months, so you don't want to keep him so that you don't start paying taxes. So people are being employed as casuals. So if you don't come to the gate in the morning, hauko kazi. So the supervisor decides, wewe ndio unaingia leo, huyu ataingia leo, wewe utaingia kesho, huyu anaingia kesho kutwa. So that is what is happening. Ruiru is one of the industrial hub.
Yes.
This is what a finance bill is doing to those Kenyans down there and to employers who are now fearing of the levies that are attached to this, which my brother here on Kenya Kwanza knows. Some of these things will hurt him during the next election when he wants votes. People will be hungrier. He will need more money to feed them to get them votes. Because now, where are we? Is Kenya Kwanza ready to work on the 18 most important items? I'm waiting to see. But trust you me,
yes,
there are things that they will not touch.
Pretty much.
Watatoa hii ya nywele. Hiyo watatoa. Watatoa hii ya hawa watu wanafanya movie wenye walienda State House. Watatoa. Because wale walienda kupeleka movie huko. Then, hizi zingine zitabaki. And then hawa watu wakutuonyesha movie, waache kutuonyesha vile wako na pesa. You know when you umeshiba sana unataka kuonyesha tumbo. How do you go to your house, open a cabinet, show us money, and then you're still crying, I don't want to be taxed. The tax is punitive. Punitive, and you're showing us money.
Last question.
No, we have to be honest.
Yes. Is impeachable? Let's answer that.
He's not, but he is. He's not impeachable. Okay? Anyone can be impeached, even president. No one can be. Nobody is indispensable. But as the current situations are,
is not.
You can't impeach Wetangula. He's playing his political game of chess.
Yes, yes.
And he's doing it so well.
Yes.
And he's trying very much to be the president. But the honesty part of it is, Wetangula can't beat Kalonzo.
Before we go to that, because we're coming...
If we put this thing game.
Yes.
Kalonzo on Azimio side, Weta on KK side.
Yes.
Weta can't beat Kalonzo. Yawa.
I want you to hold,
anytime.
I want you to hold your thought.
Even Ruto can't beat Kalonzo anytime.
Yes. I want you to hold your thought on that. Mr. Mungai, let's answer the same question. Because now, it looks as if Wetangula is playing it nice. He's playing politics, proper politics, as you would expect. And Bagala is saying, well, Wetangula is a politician, so he knows exactly what he's getting at. Let me first start with the same question. When you look at Wetangula, knowing very well that this is a man who was a politician, who had a party, fronted his party to Kenya Kwanza, won an election through the Kenya Kwanza ticket, through his party, you would say that, on his party, you would say that, but then relinquished his position because there was there's a promise somewhere that was made through his support for Kenya Kwanza. When you look at Wetangula, do you see him as a neutral entity in the National House? And number two, do you think, how would the Azimio side make true their promise of impeaching Wetangula? Because now they don't look at him as a neutral entity in that particular seat.
One, the speaker is expected to be a neutral arbiter when it comes to matters of the House. Because remember, in the National Assembly, you do not have opposition and government. In essence, you have a majority and a minority. So in terms of structure, there is an expectation that the speaker is a neutral arbiter in matters that find themselves in the floor of the House. Now, there is a difference between being a neutral arbiter and being perceived to be one. And the difference comes in terms of the perception that you emanated from the Kenya Kwanza side. You ran for a seat, you got the seat, which you relinquished because you are going to become a speaker.
Yes.
And then the majority of members in the House voted for you as a speaker. There will always be a perception that you are always leaning towards the government side and the government agenda.
Whose promise was it to make Wetangula speaker, though?
No, I'm not denying. I'm just saying.
Yes.
I'm just saying, in terms of perception.
Yes.
The fact that you emanate from a political divide.
Yes.
And the fact that you are voted by a majority of members of Kenya Kwanza in that particular house, there will always be a perception that you augment more towards the government side.
That's it.
But in practice, the perception notwithstanding, in practice, there is an expectation that you're supposed to be a neutral arbiter because the laws that pass through that house are not laws for the majority. They are laws that affect the lives of each and every ordinary Kenyan.
That's what you like to think.
No, that's not what I like to think.
On a neutral ground?
When the president assents on a law that has passed through the National Assembly, then that law has a consequence on each and every Kenyan wherever he is. Doesn't matter whether they are Azimio or Kenya Kwanza. So in essence, the speaker is supposed to be a neutral arbiter. And I use the word supposed to be because of the perception. Now, secondly, can we impeach, does Azimio have the capacity, the wherewithal, to impeach the speaker, Moses Wetangula? Your answer and your guess is as good as mine. Sometimes we maybe because we want to pass time, we want to play this game of theory, happenstance, voodoo, moving this here, taking it there, having a nice sound bite that can make it on national TV or 9 p.m. news. But at the end of the day, as it is now in the political setup, it's wishful thinking. And you know, what I have realized is that sometimes Kenyans don't want to be told the truth on their face. That is why when you tell them this bill is going to pass, they say, but where are you saying it's going to pass or not? I mean, it's good that we tell people the truth. And it is good that we tell Azimio, wanting to impeach the current speaker is wishful thinking.
Yes.
And it is okay when men engage in visions of grandeur, illusions. It is okay for them to engage in that, build as many castles in the air as they possibly can. But at the end of the day, that is wishful thinking.
Pretty much.
Guess not go anywhere.
Guess what, gentlemen? When we come back, there's a man who doesn't want to stop about speaking about the finance bill, even before the members of parliament then make a vote on it on Thursday. One, Rigathi Gachagua, has been quite vocal on it, is saying, guys, can you stop talking about this bill because it's going to pass anyway? I'd rather we speak about how we move forward with this nation. So the question is going to be then, what does Gachagua know that we do not know? Because we're here talking about how these members of parliament are going to vote. And so once we come back again, I'll be putting to task Juan Regalo then to tell us, should indeed the minority side go to the House to vote? Are we going to expect them to, in totality, vote out the finance bill? Because the party leader over this other side is saying, should anything in that bill pass, we're going to go to the street. So what is the command that the minority side is moving to the National House on Thursday? Tell us what you think as well online at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. My name is Simbalaja Charles Kiage. We take a tiny breather. Once we come back, we kill the last part of our conversation this morning.
Are you a junior secondary school, a college, a TVET institution or a university and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today on 0